information. Talking about liposuction, fat transfer, how to get rid of that big belly without a tummy tuck. That's the key, right? Without a tummy tuck. You've all been told you need a tummy tuck, but it's just not true. So stick around long enough, then you can learn this stuff. You can see we do larger individuals, big dramatic change. We're trying to get rid of that fold in the front of your belly without cutting away the skin. And yes, it is possible. So as you guys jump on here, any of the information that you hear, please, you got to pay it forward. This is stuff that people are not hearing. We're not allowed to market this stuff publicly. Facebook, they won't let us put these pictures up there in the public because they say it's nudity and things of that nature. So I need you to help share the information. And if you know people that have big bellies like this, friends, family, co-workers, they're struggling. If you have even a little belly, you know how much it bothers you. So imagine the people with larger bellies. We can get rid of this stuff, and it's serious. It's amazing, and it's a huge life change. It happens fairly quickly. And what happens afterwards is really the exciting part. Is when you start getting this burst of confidence and you have energy. I've had quite a few patients that tell me that they have lost their appetite. Perhaps maybe that's not the right word. Their appetite decreases after the procedure, and it helps them to lose weight. And we got Stacy, one of our previous patients. He's here right now on Facebook. A lot of our previous patients are available to answer questions. So if you haven't joined our private Facebook group, definitely you want to get on there. As you're going to go on Facebook and you're going to search groups, and you search My Shape Lipo Support Group, and you'll be able to find many of our previous pages. So a lot of these pictures you're seeing behind me they're amazing visually, right? But more importantly, you need to hear their story, because each individual comes with a different story and different struggles, because you and I are different, right? So our expectations of what we can have from a procedure is different as well. Like, you might have a lot of stretch marks, a lot of loose skin. Maybe you have a bigger belly, you're heavier set, and you have it hanging over your pubic area. Maybe that bothers you. So you're going to connect with somebody that's like you and kind of get an idea of what is possible, because all of us are a little bit different. But when you see people that are similar to you, you get in the ballpark of what is possible for someone like you. My job is to get as much fat out as we can while keep everything as smooth and even as possible. And essentially what I'm doing is it's like taking the blanket off, blanket of fat that's covering whatever it is that you have underneath. And you can see, like, this individual here, she had that big, I call them like speed bumps, ba-dump, right? It comes over here. That's where she wore her pants, right in the middle of her belly there. But when you take the fat off, it's like removing the blanket, and you uncover what's there, and you can see clearly she's got a flat belly underneath. And I'm sure you do too. Some people, they have fat behind the muscle and it bulges their muscle out, but most people have a flat belly. We just got to get the fat off of there. Yeah, we got a bunch of people having procedure this week. Let's see, Candy Smiles asks, are we in California? I'm from California, but I'm not living in California right now. We're in Las Vegas area. But we get lots of patients that drive up from California. We specialize specifically in liposuction, fat transfer, laser skin tightening, and these kind of results, you're not going to find them everywhere. So you're going to have to travel a little bit to get these kind of results. And it's not that bad. California, it's a short drive, 4 or 5 hour drive from most places in California. It's a short flight, an hour flight from anywhere in California. We got patients flying in from the East Coast on a daily basis. So, it's totally worth it, and that's the reason why about 85% of our patients fly in from out of state. See, Herkatoni says, can you remove the cellulite from buttocks? So, interesting thing. So, liposuction is not meant specifically for cellulite, but what cellulite is, it's a connective tissue disorder. So, you have these fibers. So, these are fibers, right? And they're holding the skin's on top here, and it's pulling down. And if it's pulling down properly, it's pulling down everything uniformly, and everything's nice and smooth up here on top of the skin. However, with weight gain, weight loss, you got weight gain where it stretches, and weight loss where it shrinks. And what happens is these fibers, sometimes they're not all pulling you individually the same, so you got one might pull more than the other, which will cause those indentations, right? So With liposuction, you can go in and we can break these fibers, and so when these fibers are pulling, causing the dimple, so you can imagine like it pulls down on one, causes a dimple, we can actually break that fiber, and that fiber comes up, and then it's nice and smooth again. So that's possible. Now, some people get this connective tissue disorder all over the place, and you got these tiny little fibers, tiny little, if you can imagine, tiny little dimples all over the place because there's irregularities all over because these fibers are pulling, and so there's potentially thousands of fibers all over the place that are causing these dimples. So the little dimples are very, very difficult to get rid of. However, if you have very isolated and deep dimples, cellulite, in an isolated area with liposuction, you can break up that stuff pretty easily. Particularly when I do fat transfer to the butts. When I do fat transfer to the butt, it actually expands out the area, and when you expand it out, it makes it actually more obvious where the dimples are because the fibers puts a little bit more stress on them, so I can identify where they are. And I have a specific instrument. It's kind of like it's like a V like this, right? It's a knife. So I go in there and I clip these fibers one by one. And that's the reason why it doesn't necessarily work as well on when you got thousands and thousands of these irregular fibers causing cellulite. But if you have individual ones, I can go and individually clip these individual fibers and makes the skin pop back up, and it takes out some of the most of the cellulite in a given area. Now, there's a downside. Okay, and here's the thing, right? When I get overly aggressive and you take out all the fibers, you tend to get what we call seromas. So what it does is you take out all those connective tissues that hold the skin together, and it creates like a pocket. And in that pocket, sometimes the body will fill that pocket with fluid, and then it's called a seroma. And seromas will, in many cases, you require that you have to drain the fluid out of them multiple times after the seroma forms. So there's a balance, right? If you're not aggressive enough, you're going to have some more dimples. If you're overly aggressive, then you could possibly end up with a seroma. So you got to find that happy medium, that balance. So the short answer is yes, it is possible. A little bit more complex than just yes. But yes, it is possible to improve the cellulite on the butt in particular, but anywhere. I think it's a little bit easier on the butt when we do the fat transfer because that's just part of my process. I'm Chris. Oh no, far from New Mexico. It's not that far from New Mexico, especially when you consider that there's nobody close to New Mexico. There's nobody that does this in New Mexico as good as I do it. So you're gonna have to go somewhere. When you live in New Mexico, I mean, you got to be realistic. You're not gonna have the experts that are coming, that are gonna be in places, because the reality is when you do a procedure like this, it's a repetition. We have to do it a lot of times, and the more repetition you get, the better you get. So places like Beverly Hills or Salt Lake City, Utah. There's some places that or Miami. They have places where people go and are doing these cosmetic procedures, and there's a lot of repetition. A lot of people go there, so the individuals, the practitioners, the doctors, the PAs, whoever's doing the procedures, they get a lot of repetition, so it's better. In New Mexico, unfortunately, you're going to get people that are trying to do this because they want to make money, but there's just not enough people that are going to come to get them the repetition that they need to be as good as you want. So you can go to those people. By all means, go to them. And you should support your local economy. That's great. But if the results aren't what you expected, then you got to start thinking, or you have to go to them and see what their results are. If you could talk to their patients like you can talk to our patients, that would be awesome, right? But if you can't, then it's kind of a crapshoot. You're going based off of the doctor saying, oh yeah, I can do this, it's going to be awesome. And then when it's not, he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's just and he makes some BS excuse. So it is what it is. You have to make your choice, right? 85% of our patients are flying in for a reason, and it's usually because they live in a place like New Mexico where there's just simply not the quality of practitioners that you want or desire. So that's why people come. Okay, what would be the best treatment? Harkatoni. I don't know. What do you mean best treatment? I don't know what that question means. How far out are you booked? We're about a month out right now. So, but we do have this special going on. If you see behind me, this 15% off special. The 15% off special means that you need to place a deposit before the end of this month, and you need to get the procedure by the end of next month. So those of you who are willing to take action on your desires. So all of us may want this, right? You may want to be thinner, you may want to look better, but not everybody's willing to take action on their desire to get what they want. And the people that do take action, they get what they want and they get it really quickly. So we can help. If you're serious about this, the next step is your formal consultation. All patients need to be seen for a formal consultation. That's where you're going to meet with me directly. But we do have this quick quote system. It's pinned here on Instagram. It's up in the post on Facebook, and it's on the comments on YouTube. But you can get a quick quote, which is you just simply click on there, enter some basic information about yourself, and answer some simple questions about what you want, and you can get a quote based off of your height and weight. It's pretty accurate, surprisingly. It's not perfect, but it's pretty accurate. It'll give you an idea of what to expect, and then when you're ready, you call up and you do the formal consultation. Yes, Stacy's out there reminding people. Let's see, Raquel Smith, Alejandra, welcome. Thank you all for jumping in here. If you're new to the channel, make sure that your first step is to get your pricing, right? That's what most people are concerned about. Is if you can afford this, that's what you're concerned about. So the pricing is easy. We have this quick quote system. The link is on our website. You can also, if you're on Facebook, it's on the post, and the Instagram is pinned there. You can just simply click the information. Now on that quick quote system, when you open that system up, there's going to be the option. If you have questions, I put all these frequently asked questions videos, lots of information there. So it's meant to educate you. We have pictures that are specific to someone that's your size. It's a pretty cool system, and then you can get an instant quote depending on what you need. But you have to stay within the scales of this quoting system. So it's one choice, so you can focus on one procedure at a time. So I know some people come in and they want their full body, and so they click everything, and it kind of messes with the process. Doesn't work when you click everything, unfortunately. So but look, this is not meant to be your only thing. It's meant to get you a good idea of what to expect from the procedure and the cost and things of that nature. Then you schedule the consultation. What's up, Rebecca? Yes, the quick quote. All right, Candy Smiles. Oh, you're saying you mean you were not far from New Mexico. Okay, yeah, that's right. We get lots of people that drive, especially like New Mexico, Arizona, Southern California, San Francisco. It's a quick, easy trip out to Vegas. If you fly in here, it's super easy. We're literally 15 minutes from the airport. It's so easy here in Vegas. It's not like any other state I've lived in. The airport's like right in the middle of everything. So you fly in there and you can take an Uber, and it's like 15-20 minutes. No big deal at all. So coming in and leaving is super easy. What's the downtime? Candy Smiles 4 on Instagram. The downtime after this procedure, obviously, it's going to be a little bit different for everybody, and I find a lot of it has to do with is your tolerance to things. We'll call it pain, but it's things in general. So some people are just tolerant, and they're just I don't know, like I like to think I'm a badass. I'll do anything, and nothing. I'm not challenged by anything. This is the way I think. And some people are like that. Some people they're not challenged by anything, and like everything they just take it in stride and just do it and nothing hard. And then on the flip side, there's other people who are like, oh my gosh, everything's so difficult. I can't move. Everything hurts, and and it's a lot of complaints. So imagine this is like a spectrum, right? You have the easy. One person is super easy, and another person is super hard, and there's going to be a whole spectrum of everyone in between. And you'll fall somewhere in between. So, in most cases, I tell people, like, you usually already know how you are. If you're the type of person that's struggles with everything, then you're gonna probably struggle at this. And if you're the person that's a badass and you don't struggle at anything, you have a high tolerance, and you just push through everything, then you're gonna do the same thing with this. Okay, and as far as the downtime, you're able to get up and walk around right away. I'll tell you what's possible. Okay, I had the procedure late evening after work, and I rode my motorcycle home about 40 minutes on my motorcycle. This was in LA. I was working in Beverly Hills at the time. I got home, took a shower, got in bed, and this was like, it was like I ended the night. I got home, showered, got in bed, and came back to work the next morning and never skipped a beat. And what I do is very difficult, it's very physical. Liposuction is not easy. So that is possible. Is it recommended? No way, not even possible, right? It's not. We would never recommend that to anybody. That's a stupid me, right? So that's what's possible. And I know that there are plenty of other patients. I've heard a lot of stories of people that do things and are able to get up and go right away after these procedures. So that's possible. But what's recommended is recommended to fly in the night before the procedure and stay 2 nights afterwards. You're gonna be draining a bunch of fluid from the procedure. So a lot of fluid that is draining out of these holes, and that can be an inconvenience, especially when traveling. Like if you're flying, you're draining out fluid when you're going through security. That's not cool. You don't like doing that. So give yourself a little bit of time. 2 nights is usually reasonable. You'll be draining the fluid. You'll be a little bit, moving around, a little bit more challenging the first day or two. So 2 nights is reasonable. But as far as getting back to work, our patients say about 3 to 4 days of back to a sedentary type job. But obviously, you can get back sooner if you're working from home, and no problem. Candy smiles. Jane Fuzzy Bear. All right. What's up, Angie Bonilla, Mariposita, Alejandra. All right. So one of the things it's funny how this law of attraction works, right? So when you talk about things and when you focus on something, you seem to see more of it. And so I've been talking about sleep and the importance of sleep for the past couple weeks. And since I got my tracker, the Whoop tracker, I've been tracking my sleep, and I've been really working hard at it. But the interesting thing to me was that because I've been focusing on that, it seems to be like everybody I talk to just coincidentally is having sleeping problems. My son, he told me he wasn't able to sleep for 2 nights, and he was really struggling. And he was willing to do anything at this point now to get better sleep. And so that was a great opportunity for me to step in there and explain to him how the body works, how the mind works, and the advantages and disadvantages of sleep. So I was able to help him. My wife is working on it as well, but it seems like all of us, even myself, it's like, even though I know sleep's important, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. It's not just like just because you want to sleep more, just because you'd like to, you get in bed on time that you're going to get the sleep that you want. It's certainly not that easy. And based on tracking, what I'm finding is even if I'm in bed long enough, I go to bed on time, I don't necessarily get the sleep that I need. The quality of the sleep is not as good. And so this is something that it blew my mind. I didn't realize. I thought I'd just get in bed in time and you get enough sleep, and it was just the amount of time you're in bed. But it's way more complex than that. Your body needs to go through these specific cycles in order to feel rested. So just because you're in bed for 8 hours doesn't mean you got 8 hours sleep, and certainly doesn't mean that you got 8 hours of quality sleep. So this is really something that you need to work at, and it's not easy. And each of us individually, you need to figure you out. Just like I need to figure me out, you need to figure you out. And whatever that means for you to get your best sleep. And there's lots of different recommendations on getting the best sleep, but unless you take action and change something, you're never going to know what works. And the other thing, which is interesting, if you don't track it, you don't know whether, if you're trying something different, you don't know whether it makes a difference or not. So as I'm tracking the data on my sleep and the quality of the sleep, I can try different things, and the tracker actually tells me, based off of the data that I collect for months of data, it'll tell me when you did this, your sleep was affected this way. It was improved. For example, I've been doing sauna. So I'm sitting in the heat for a half hour, 45 minutes, and sweating, and it's helping to detox. I also do red light therapy, both of which have been shown through my tracker that they improve my sleep, the REM sleep, which is the rapid eye movement. It improves my REM sleep by about 10 to 15%. So these little things, I'm getting positive reinforcement to show that it's benefiting my sleep patterns. And it also, when you sleep better, you're able to recover better. I mean, as you recover better, you come back stronger and with more energy. So all of these things are kind of intertwined here, interconnected, and it's really important that when you start focusing on these things, you'll start to see that it's way bigger than you think it is. It's not as simple just getting sleep. Just like it's not as simple when you say drink your half your weight in ounces of water every day. It's easy to say it, but actually doing it's not that easy. One of the people on the group was saying, man, they struggle just getting the water down. It's to be able to drink that much, they feel like they're pregnant. Their belly's full and they feel pregnant, and it's not easy, but the benefits far outweigh the issues that you have. It sucks when you drink water, you got to pee so much, but it's good to not to feel better about yourself, and it's good to have the energy, and it's good to not feel like you're hungry all the time. When you're chronically dehydrated, most people, they feel like they're hungry, and so they eat, when in reality they're dehydrated when they should be drinking. Hey, could you grab my water, please? While I'm thinking about it.
Maybe you can tell them about your podcast about sleep.
Yeah, so I've been recording a few podcasts. So some of you may have seen me. I record the video portion of the podcast in our group. We have about 4 or 5 topics up right now, and specifically when I wrote a podcast about sleep. I also wrote a podcast about the importance of drinking water. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to hit these habits, these lifestyle habits, and put them together in a source where you can have all the content and information that you might need to help you make the decisions that you want. Because what I found is that, it's one thing for me to say that you should go drink water, but unless you believe that you really need to, you won't do it. And so the importance of creating that leverage is that you need to understand why it's so important to drink water and the consequences of not drinking water. And then for you, all you have to do is our brains are amazing. We can simulate in our brains. So you can simulate in your brain, well, if these bad things could happen, let me simulate what would happen if I continued living a negative lifestyle and not doing these things for the next 5 years or 10 years, what would happen? And so if you simulate that over time, you can start to see the consequences of your actions, and then it becomes more and more important for you to take positive actions today, so you don't have the negative consequences later. Because many of you right now, you may be in your 40s, 50s, 30s, whatever it is, wherever you're at right now, and you've been experiencing living life the way you like to live it, and doing the things that you want to do, and then now you realize after decades of doing what you like, you realize that what I liked was actually hurting me, was actually, in many cases causing disease, and putting you in a situation where, you're going to live a shorter life. And not only that, where the quality of your life is significantly decreased. So, when you get heavier like this, you carry more weight, the consequences are, diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, high cholesterol. All these things end up, leading to consequential disease processes that, they suck. And I'll tell you, I'm not held back by anything at this point in my life. The only thing, and just recently I had this little pinched nerve in my neck, and I got like a shooting pain that goes into my shoulder, and it slows me down a little bit. I don't let it slow me down, but just the idea of something slowing me down and not allowing me to do what I want to do, it pisses me off, and I want to do everything that I can to ensure that I'm going to fix my problem so I can continue on to do everything that I want to do without any limitations. Limitations, when you think about them, they affect every aspect of your life. And what kind of limitations am I talking about? As you get heavier and you gain weight, and statistics say, or CDC says, adults gain 2 to 5 pounds per year, or whatever it is that they say, and each of us will be different, right? But the point is if you're consistently gaining weight, you're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and as you get bigger, it not only stresses, like if you think about the weight, like if you were carrying around a 50-pound backpack, so it stresses all your joints, it makes all your muscles sore, it wears you out, it uses a lot more energy. Your body has to pump more blood to feed the fat. The blood supply has to get around to feed the fat, so your heart's pumping more. Everything's working harder. And you can imagine, just like if you went for a jog, if you were trying to sprint, you would be done really quick. But if you don't, if you walk, you can probably walk for an hour, maybe longer. So it's the same concept. Like if you have your heart and it's going, it's pumping really fast because it's got to pump blood all throughout your body to get to all these fat cells and feed them, then your heart's working really hard. Eventually it's going to wear out. And it's going to wear out a lot sooner than it would someone like me with, my resting heart rate's in the 40s. So if your resting heart rate's in, the 90s to 100s, you're beating twice as hard as mine. Your heart's beating twice as many times in the same 24 hours. And so, which means that theoretically, if we each have the same amount of heartbeats, and my beats would last me 50 years, your beats will last you, because you're doing twice as fast, you're gonna end up, your heart's gonna give out in 25 years, half the time. I mean, this is realistic here. This is realistic. Imagine like your car. If your car was going, and you're going twice as fast and twice as much wear, it's going to wear out quicker. It's just common sense, right? So our bodies are the same way. And if you're stressing your body by carrying this much weight, it's stress on your body, and it affects everything. And it's not just like the weight that you're carrying that affects the joints. It's the heart, it's the blood vessels, it's the kidneys, it's the liver, it's everything. Your whole body. Even the muscles are affected by it. Your ability to process sugars is affected. And most people aren't, you're just not paying attention. And it's like it's almost like you're sleeping. I think when we were younger, we were under this belief that the government's doing things that are going to help us. This is crazy, right? And then last 5 years, 10 years, more and more stuff comes out that the government's really not doing anything to help the people. They're actually doing things to hurt the people. And so as a consumer, as somebody that's the public, then you need to become more conscious and aware. And it's not, sometimes you wish you didn't know. Let's just put it that way. Because when you start finding out the truth about things, it's a little scary, and it's disappointing. But once you find the truth, you can start actually living within the truth, instead of being victim to the consequences of being lied to. Okay, Mariposita says, can the procedure be done on someone over 50? And how about if the person has high blood pressure? Absolutely. You'll see a lot of our patients are 50s. Like, man, 50s is like the new 30. Especially if you're healthy. That's not old at all. So it's really more important whether you're healthy. And the blood pressure is not as much of an issue as long as it's controlled. Now, keep in mind that removal of fat is going to benefit the high blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure now, you may not have high blood pressure after liposuction, or you may be able to significantly decrease the medication that you're using. You may be pre-diabetic, and after this procedure, you may not be pre-diabetic anymore. Your body's able to much better control the sugars after this procedure once we remove all that fat. Yeah, Stacy was saying we just did someone 74. Yep. Yeah, age is just a number. Just like weight. I hate when people you're so fixated on this number of weight, and the truth is weight doesn't really matter. This is our 74-year-old, in case you were interested. You can see, everybody has different problems. So, while you might be thinking like, oh my gosh, I got this one little irregularity, and ooh, woe is me, the world is gonna end, I can't wear a bathing suit. But you know what? The reality is like most people have issues. 74 years, she's got lots of issues, and she's just trying to do what she can to stay on top of whatever she can. So we're not, perfection is not, it's not what most people are looking for. I think that, especially when we're doing large volume liposuction, we're getting a substantial volume of fat out of you. It makes a huge dramatic change on every aspect of your life. And the cosmetic nature of it is nice, right? It's nice to be able to look good, but when you remove such large volumes of fat, it's not realistic to think that things are going to be perfect all the time. But more importantly, you're going to get back to being, more, shall we say, normal. This is very abnormal, having it's like a big pillow in your lower back. And even if she's got some irregularities, my gosh, it is amazing to not have that big pillow in your lower back anymore. So the consequences of doing liposuction, it may be some irregularities left over, and she may have a fold in the skin or something that she doesn't necessarily like or want. But it's you got to weigh the pros and the cons, right? And there's always going to be some cons and potential negatives, but if the potential benefits are far outweigh the negatives, then you got to roll with it. But then when you roll with it, you have to realize that it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be way better, and you have to, as long as you're in that mindset, man, this is a much better situation. There's some people, they get themselves psychologically thinking that it has to be perfect. And when it's not perfect, they get upset and they feel like they're the victim. And, it's a shame, because it's just how they feel. And it doesn't make that the consequences of the procedure were any better or worse, because we get great results. And some people, they just see it differently. And when they see it differently, it's, to them, it's real. But the truth is that when we make these big dramatic changes on people, you have to be realistic and look at it from a global perspective. And these are huge changes that we're making for individuals. Stacy said, I had a pillow on my back, and after my shape removed it, my butt popped out. Yeah, that's what's, one of the cool advantages of doing this procedure. But even look at this here, this individual, the belly hung over so far over their private parts, like they had problems, just seeing, like the line, from the eye to the private part. If you got this big belly in the way, you can't even see it. And I can't even imagine the struggles that you get from that. I mean, like, and I laugh because it's an embarrassment. I don't even like talking about it, right? But it's something like, if you can't see what you're doing down there, I mean, you're bound to make mistakes, right? When you make mistakes, what if you're shaving and you cut something, and anytime you cut something down there, it's a possibility that it gets infected. Same thing is like with diabetics. And this happens a lot when they can't really get to their feet as well, and they can't feel them as well. So diabetics tend to get sores on the feet and potential infections, and then the infections get really bad. These things can get bad. A simple thing like an ingrown toenail could end up killing you. Seriously. And you have to start taking these things a lot more serious, because if you're not thinking about this stuff preemptively, then it's inevitable that it's going to happen to you. You got to start preparing. And as Stacy was saying, suggesting, join the private Facebook group, and you can see some of these girls that are going through this journey. See, Rosie Garza says, I had a mesh put in my stomach for an umbilical hernia in May of 22. How long do I have to wait to get lipo in my stomach area? So typically, the recommendations are going to be 6 months, and it's for the wounds to heal. And especially, with the umbilical hernia, we'll be working right there. So you probably have some incisions that, need to heal. So I'd give it some time to heal up first. But as you guys are jumping on here, your first step, you should look into getting the pricing. We have our quick quote system, and currently right now we have this 15% off. And the deal with this 15% off is you have to place a deposit by the end of this month, which is next week. The end of this week. So Friday is the last day. You have to place your deposit. It's just 25% deposit, but once you place a deposit, it allows you to pick a date and time on the calendar, and you have to have the procedure by the end of next month. So if you're serious, if you're looking to take advantage and get any discounts, and this is the time to get the discount. I hate it. It frustrates me when a discount ends, then a week later someone's like, hey, do you guys have any discounts? Like, no, you should have been here a week ago. You should have taken advantage of it. But I digress. So no, it was. I thought it was interesting that in me talking about sleep so much, that there were so many people in my life that are struggling with sleep right now, and I tried to I try to share, you try to share whatever information, whatever knowledge you have about this stuff, whatever wisdom, and I'm still struggling myself and trying to figure it out, despite you know actively trying to get better sleep. My tracker says that I've only been able to attain 65 to 70% of what I need as far as my sleep. So I'm a little frustrated with that, but it's pushing me to work harder at it and do more than I thought was necessary, which is basically the lesson that I want to portray to you, that in order for you to get what you want, you're probably going to have to do a bit more than you anticipated. You're going to have to sacrifice a bit more than you wanted to. It's going to hurt just a little bit more than you thought it should. But the sacrifice is what's going to get you what you want. And that's what I've learned. And I've learned that not only this is just a repeat lesson for me. I've learned this in the past through sports, through all the other the hard work that I've put in my life. I've found that it takes just a little bit extra. Arnold Schwarzenegger used to talk about this, that somebody asked him, how many reps do you do? And he says, I don't even know. I don't even start counting until it starts to hurt. And so with that mindset, it's like it doesn't even matter until you start feeling the pain. That this was Arnold Schwarzenegger was saying. It didn't even, there was no importance in how many repetitions you did until it started hurting, until you started burning, because it's when that happens that you start to grow. So all growth comes through pain, through some type of discomfort, whether it's it's stretching you financially, emotionally, or with the actual discomfort. It's stretching you to the point where if someone else could do this stuff, it's possible for you. I know it's possible for you, but you may not believe it yet. So you have to stretch your mind to allow to the possibility, the potential for this stuff is possible for you. Larger individuals, you may have, resided yourself to say that, I'm a big girl and that's just the way it is. My grandma was like this, my mom was like this, my sisters are like this, it's just the way it is, the way I'm going to be. And it doesn't have to be that way. And that's why I want to, with my big megaphone, let everybody know it doesn't have to be that way. So once you got to tell your friends and family about this stuff. You got to, if you have an aunt or an uncle or your grandma, your mom, someone that's struggling with this stuff, and they struggle with it, promise you. And just ask them, does it bother you? Of course it bothers you. Are you insecure about it? Yes, of course, they all are. Every one of them, I promise you. Every one of them, they might try to hide it and cover it up and tell you, this doesn't bother me, but that's bullshit, and it's bullshit. Especially if you have it yourself, I knew this stuff. See, I was one of these guys that had these man boobs, and I hid. I knew how to hide everything. I knew all the tricks, and so because I know all the tricks, I can see it. I'm like an expert. I'm a professional at this stuff. I know what I'm looking for, and I know when people are struggling and insecure about this stuff. So when I see these girls, when I see their public postings, and I see the way that they're taking pictures and they're hiding, if they turn sideways to look thinner, they get behind people, hide, get their kids in front of them. They wear dark clothes. They wear prints so it doesn't take on the various angles. They wear their compression stuff. They'll do that. With these big bellies, there's different stages on what they do. Some of them, at first they pull the pants up on top of the belly, so they start wearing it there. And now instead of getting a fold underneath, they also get a fold in the middle here. And a lot of them will do that for decades. And it ends up causing a secondary ridge. So you got a fold right here, you got a fold down below, just like this young lady here. And as stuff happens, it's just natural. This is the way our body responds to it. But you can tell. And I'll tell you what, this lady, when she came into our office, and funny thing is, she came with a friend of hers. She didn't send in any of her pictures. She was so insecure about herself, and she still, even when I saw her, she looked phenomenal. And I saw the before pictures. I was blown away. I couldn't believe it. And she's like, oh yeah, it's okay. She was very soft spoken. very soft-spoken, very quiet. Um, she was the type of person that she was always covering, and then even though she doesn't have to cover up anymore, she was still wearing a big baggy shirt. So even after these procedures, a lot of this is psychological. So if you see yourself as this bigger person, you see yourself as this heavy set, chunky chick or whatever you want to call yourself. When you see yourself as bigger, it's hard for you to realize. It is. I know it's weird. It's really weird. And sometimes people, they get this like level of depression after liposuction because it's like they don't feel like it's them. And I don't know. It's hard to understand how that works. Chemically speaking, how it works, I don't know. But some people get this stuff, and you really have to change your mindset. And this is where I think it doesn't have to happen overnight, but you have to start moving towards the direction of becoming your best version. So if you're trying to become your best, then when you start looking like your best, you're going to be like, I'm a badass. Whereas if you're not trying to be your best and you're just trying to hide still, you're going to be looking for ways to hide. And this is like this law of attraction. You get what you focus on. So if you focus on yourself becoming your best version, you're going to start seeing that. And if you don't focus on that, you focus on your comfort, you focus on covering up, and hiding. If you start focusing on those things, you're just going to keep looking for opportunities to hide, opportunities to cover up, opportunities to stand behind again. At some point you got to step in the spotlight, and this is your life to live. You can do whatever you want with it. And here's the thing: you have the choice. You have the choice to squander this life and do nothing with it. And I promise you, there's lots of very, very, very intelligent people with lots of potential, and they do nothing with their life. They become drug addicts. They're overweight or whatever. They're not active. And these are the people that you moms know this. Those kids that you see, there's so much potential. They're so smart. They're athletic, and they get in trouble. They don't care. They don't show up. They fail out of school. You're like, man, it's a shame. It's a shame. It is. It is. But see, I see that in everyone. All these women. At some point, they gave up. I've seen it. My friends do this stuff too. At some point you give up and you're like, I'm tired. I'm tired of working so hard. I'm tired of pushing. I'm tired of drinking the water. I'm tired of exercising. I'm tired. They get tired of doing stuff, and you want to be comfortable in your life. And this is the comfort is like, it's the hell. You want to stay away from comfort because if you want to change and live your best life, change is a little bit painful. It's a struggle. It's a challenge. And you can struggle being overweight, or you can struggle getting in shape. It's a struggle either way, but you get to choose. You get to choose your struggle. Arm liposuction. We talk about abdominal liposuction. It's, especially with these pictures here, it's so easy for you to see the big dramatic changes in the abdomen. But with arm liposuction, we do some very, very large arms. And when you take the fat out of it, just like the skin on the stomach, when you take all that fat out of here, the skin retracts back. You can see this very large individual here. Her arms were hanging way down below, right? There's a lot of fat in there. She had about 2 liters of fat out of each arm. It's a lot of fat. Imagine like a 2-liter bottle of soda hanging out from your arm there. It's heavy too, right? So when she lifts her arms up, boom, it shakes. And it got her whole body moving. But despite having all that extra skin, you might believe that there's going to be an empty sac. What do you know? It actually retracted back. Now, it's not perfect. It's not. But she doesn't have a huge scar, and she doesn't have all that fat there anymore. And she can fit a shirt over her arm. She can fit her clothes. A lot of these larger individuals, they struggle because they can't fit their clothes. The sleeve doesn't fit over their arm, and it's embarrassing. It's frustrating, and it limits you on what you can wear. So arm liposuction is good. This is another, when we do the arms together we like to do the armpit. It's just the front brow roll and the back brow roll, so you can see like the width of the back. And when you take that fullness away, you can see it really narrows at that back and it gives you more feminine look to it. And the arms in particular, when you put the arms down by the side, you'll notice that this fat pad on the back part of the arm, it bulges out. So you get kind of like a mound on your shoulder, almost like shoulder pads. But yeah, you can see this right here. See how it's bowing out here at the arm. And then when you take the fat away, it kind of shaves that off and makes it more feminine looking. And I really noticed this in particular when I treated my mom's arms about 10, 12 years ago. When I was younger, she was kind of like this young lady here. She's a little bit fuller, and she had, she looked buff. She had that kind of like broad shoulders look to her, and I always thought she was tough, and I thought she could kick my ass, when I was younger. So I was scared of her. But then, obviously now that I'm doing this and I'm older and I took the arms off, I'm like, wait a second, my mom's not so buff. She's actually got, fat on her arms. And so for me, it was like an eye opener. And to me personally, she became a lot more feminine. And I think that a lot of people, we have these snap judgments, and a lot of this stuff happens at a subconscious level. When you look a certain way, people just they make a subconscious judgment. And you might say, well, I'm not judgmental, I'm not. Bullshit. All of us are. It doesn't matter whether you want to or don't want to, whether you believe you are or you don't believe you are. It doesn't matter, because your subconscious works regardless of what you think on the conscious level. So all of us will look at people and see people and have these subconscious judgments of them, and it doesn't matter. If you're skinny, there's going to be a judgment about that. If you're fat, there's going to be a judgment about that. If you're ugly, there's a judgment about that. If you're beautiful, there's a judgment about that. If you got big boobs, big butt, whatever, everybody judges everything. They all do. All of us do. And instead of hiding away from it, you should, try to utilize that judgment in your own benefit. So with what we can do, we know that people judge based off of the proportions of the body that they see. These are natural proportions. And so when you see that someone is, a certain width up top, and then they're wider in the middle and then narrow at the bottom, this rounded look, right? And that's got a certain visual, certain mental judgment that we all have. So when you change these proportions, these are like sacred geometry, the sacred proportions where you're wider up top, you're narrow down below, and you're wider down below. You're narrow in the middle, wider down below, to create this natural, what we call hourglass figure. They're just simple measurements that were found through all cultures to be viewed as beautiful. The same thing with the face. There's certain measurements and different dimensions of the face that are found to be beautiful, and that we can recreate some of these different dimensions by removing the volume of fat to create these different dimensions. And you can be the judge, right? What was your snap judgment? Like, wow, it's a different person, right? It looks like a totally different person. And it's not a different person. It's just we changed some angles. We just changed some angles. That's it. We took away a little bit of fat. It made her face appear to be more oval and elongated. Is it really more oval and elongated? Slight. It's an illusion. It's visually, you're seeing it this way. We just took out a little bit of fat. It's not a big change, but the change can happen. Change can happen for you too. It's just like this with the face. A little bit of a change, you create a jawline here, take out that double chin on the neck, and all of a sudden, it's a big difference. A little bit of fat, big dramatic change. And Stacy's on here. Stacy's available to answer any questions that you might have. Stacy's a previous patient of ours. She also won this contest that we are holding right now. It's 50% off. It's for influencers, but it's geared towards my previous patients, and I want them to really push to help more people, pay it forward. And if you can influence the future patients of MyShape Lipo to get the procedure and take the leap, each month we're going to award 50% off to the top influencer, and Stacy was the influencer of last month. So congratulations, Stacy. Janelle says you wish we were here in New Mexico. They call New Mexico a mini Hollywood. Lots of people wanting to be in shape to be in the movies. Well, Hollywood is not where they did the plastic surgery. It was Beverly Hills. So the people from Hollywood go to Beverly Hills to get the procedures. So not that Vegas is Beverly Hills, but you got to go where the people are that are doing the procedures. And we get lots of people coming from New Mexico. It's a short drive or flight from New Mexico. And the reason why they come out here from New Mexico is you simply don't have someone that does it this well near you. And if you do, you should go to them, but you probably don't. So, a little bit of planning, a little bit of foresight, we can get you out here, get you taken care of. But I like New Mexico. I want to go back. Let's see, what do they have? They have these caves that I wanted to go see in New Mexico, and then they also have the big balloons. They have a balloon festival in New Mexico. I want to go see that. Okay, can you do arms and tummy at the same time, or do you recommend? Starlene, I typically don't, but occasionally I do. So I don't really have hard and fast rules. I tell you rules, but I'm flexible. I'm open, and it's really is a judgment call, and it's going to depend on what's safe for you. And so we'll discuss. So when you do your formal consultation, this is something that we can discuss. If something that you want to try to do, I'll explain to you the pros and the cons, and we can make a decision together. Okay, what about the arms? I have arms like hers. Can I have lipo and expect to have dramatic results like her abdomen? Well, see, if you're talking about this one here, she also had her arms done as well and her back. She had her 360 lipo, her upper back, and her arms, and these were multiple procedures with her. So yeah, you can, if you have fat, the more fat that you get, the bigger the more dramatic change is. And that's just common sense. If you have more fat to remove, we're going to remove more fat, and when you remove more fat, it makes a bigger, more dramatic change. We're not telling people that you're too fat or you need to be your ideal weight or that your BMI is too high. We're not telling people that. So those of you who have been told that elsewhere, you don't have to be scared. You don't have to be, walking on eggshells thinking that we're going to turn you down, because we're not. We do very large patients. We do large volume liposuction. We make big dramatic changes for our patients. That's why you got to tell your friends, because we can't promote this stuff. We can't put that on public forums. It's Facebook and Instagram. They don't like when we show these things. In fact, I just posted on TikTok one of our before and after pictures, and they're starting to shoot us down now. So in the United States, we're being censored, and there's nothing else. Nothing more we can say. We're being censored, and we don't have freedom of speech, and we don't have freedom to show the things that we want to see, and tell people the truth. Unfortunately, social media they're basically covering up a lot of things. But you're seeing this, and it's possible, and that's why you have the freedom to tell people. You have the freedom to guide them in our direction. You have the freedom to help them, and if you're influential and you get people to take action, then you're going to get a chance of winning the 50% off contest, and that's a great opportunity. But needless to say, you can tell all the people that you're helping out. It is 15% off right now, and all you have to do is place your deposit by the end of this month, which is a week. So this week, the end of this week, you need to place your deposit. Don't miss out on this. Don't miss out. I hate when I hear people like a week afterwards saying, "Oh, hey, do you have any more specials, or is the one from last month still going?" Like, man, just take advantage of it when it's time. How many people are like that, right? When you see you have this opportunity and you wanted to go take advantage, like say someone when your favorite band comes into town and they're going to be playing at the wherever every week for the next month, and you're like, oh well, they'll be here for a month, so I'll get it. And the month goes by and you're like, oh man, I missed it. Stop putting things off. stop bidding things off. You know, if you want things in your life, you want your life to materialize. You want to manifest the changes that you've been thinking about in your mind. If you want what you want, then you have to take action. God favors those who take action. The universe favors those who take action. So if you want what you want, you got to start doing. And sometimes it takes sacrifice. Don't be scared. Sometimes it takes sacrifice. What's up, Robin, Wary, Val, Rosalinda, Michelle? All right, so we're gonna wrap this up here now. If you haven't gotten your quick quote, that is your first step. As soon as you get off here, you're gonna go get your quick quote. You can go to our website. It's actually pinned here on Instagram. It's up on Facebook. The quick quote is gonna get you your pricing, just basic information. And then once you get your quick quote, you have an idea of the pricing. You know whether you can afford this or not. And when you're ready, the formal consultation gives you the ability to send pictures in. We can speak directly, figure out a plan that's going to work for you to get rid of that belly, get you that hourglass figure, get you that boobs or the butt or whatever it is that you're looking for. We can help you out. So tell your friends, tell your family, come one, come all, come big, come small. We'll take you all. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.